This is the last song of an extinct bird, the Kauai-o'o, a voice that has been silenced forever. And why does this matter for the net zero debate? Because birds are among our best forest gardeners. They spread seeds, pollinate plants, help forests grow and flourish, and healthy forests capture and store vast amounts of carbon. Nature, through forests, peatlands, mangroves, soils, oceans, absorb about half of our global carbon emissions. Half. Nature is doing an amazing job. Still, it is often taken for granted in climate conversations. But nature isn't a nice to have. Nature is our strongest ally against climate change. And in this climate-nature linkage, I am an unlikely ally. It was supposed to be a picture of me in front of a samauma, the tree of life. I'm an unlikely ally because I'm not a biologist, I'm not an ecologist, I'm not an anthropologist, I'm a mathematician in the biology department. My tools are equations, coefficients, code. I use math to build scenarios and models that help understand complex systems, integrating climate, land, socio-economic aspects, policies into a single framework. Models are simplifications of reality, but they are powerful enough to reveal trade-offs, give insights, and guide better policies and decisions today. Powerful enough to help us imagine futures that are still worth fighting for. Achieving global net zero is one of those futures. And while it requires international coordination, climate action happens at national level, country by country. And depending on where you are in the world, the net zero debate looks different. In Brazil, my country, the fifth largest emitter, and home to an extraordinary diversity of life, including 60% of the Amazon rainforest, net zero is not primarily an energy problem. It is a land use problem, a deforestation problem, a governance problem, a biodiversity conservation problem, and ultimately, a people problem. Global models are too coarse to capture those nuances. And for more than a decade, I've been working on adapting global models to countries' realities, particularly to the Brazilian context. And as an Oxford Net Zero Fellow and also part of the Nature-Based Solutions Initiative, I've been working closely with Brazilian colleagues and Brazil's government to answer different questions like, what does a net zero pathway for Brazil look like? What climate pledges or NDC targets can Brazil realistically deliver? Or how much nature-based solutions could help achieving those targets? Here is the answer. Nearly 80% of Brazil's net zero pathways can be reached or achieved through nature-based solutions. Avoiding deforestation is the most important action, followed by restoration of degraded ecosystems. And I'm not talking about afforestation here. And when we asked the model to bridge the gap only with technologies including bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, net zero was not achieved in a cost-effective way. So the conclusion is clear. There is no net zero in Brazil without nature-based solutions. And why is Brazil's net zero pathway rooted in nature so important? Because, above all, it is a choice to protect the Amazon rainforest. Amazon is a critical ecosystem at risk of achieving a tipping point with devastating environmental, social, economic consequences, not only locally, but all over the world. Amazon stores hundreds of billion tons of carbon, an amount equivalent to nearly 20 years of our current global emissions. Now, imagine releasing all this carbon into the atmosphere. From a carbon perspective alone, net zero needs the Amazon. But it's not all about carbon. Protecting the Amazon is about life. The biome is home to 10% of our known species on Earth. And we are living a biodiversity crisis where species are disappearing at alarming rates, largely driven by deforestation. Many will vanish even before we know their names. Protecting the Amazon is about the multiple benefits the forest provides to our economies, our societies, and there is a direct link between health and balance, ecosystems, biodiversity, and those benefits. And I'll name only one benefit: water. Is there anything more vital to our life on Earth than water? Can we live without water? The Amazon flying rivers sustain rainfall regime, food production, food security, climate stability, and far beyond the forest. Protecting the Amazon is also about adaptation and climate resilience for 47 million people, including over 2 million indigenous peoples, local communities from the region that are already on the front lines of climate change and biodiversity loss, despite contributing the least to those crises. Protecting nature, especially the Amazon, is essential for net zero. But more than that, it is a moral and an ethical imperative. Our future depends on both a stable climate and a living planet. The paradox is net zero needs nature, but on the other hand, nature also needs net zero. Climate change poses a significant threat to nature itself. The Amazon is more flammable and less resilient because of global warming. So we need technologies like the ones presented by Tom and Stuart to become affordable and scalable as soon as possible. But at the same time, we cannot afford to lose nature. That's why I'm pushing the research frontier to a new generation of integrated assessment models that are transparent rather than black boxes, co-created and meaningful at local level, but more importantly, that put nature at the heart of our climate debate. Treat nature as a core pillar of our climate action. The idea is simple but profound: to have tools and debates like this one we are having today reflect that climate change and biodiversity loss are two sides of the same coin and must be addressed together. Because solutions or net zero pathways that compromise nature also compromise the future of humanity. And the bottom line here is there is no humanity without nature. Thank you.